Luis Romero coming to here from Henry County. We have Henry County Sheriff Wayne Davis with us, and he has announced the immediate suspension of the access to the flock safety cameras that have been implemented here in Henry County, citing privacy concerns, constitutional rights, and the change in the national landscape with this system. So tell us a little bit about what were some of the factors that led to this decision.
Luis, as you know, we received a grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services in 2023 to implement the flock safety cameras here in Henry County. We were really excited about the prospect of this new technology and what it could bring to the forefront of crime-fighting technology here in Henry County. And make no mistake, the flock safety systems have been a valuable investigative tool. However, as you've seen across the nation, it appears the system has been ripe for abuse, which has caused us to really evaluate its use here in Henry County. And in fact, the first media interview I'd done with this was on July the 27th with the Henry County Enterprise. And I informed the Henry County Enterprise on the 27th of July that based on what we had already seen, that I had made the decision that when the contract expired in August of 2028, we would not be renewing that contract. Since then, we have continued to evaluate flock safety, and it's unfortunate that the things we see across the country, we never want to see those here in Henry County. In fact, every morning I get up, and at least for the last 3 weeks, there's not been hardly a day that's gone by where I've not seen an egregious example of abuse of the system. And in fact, well over 50 law enforcement officers across our nation have been charged and arrested for violating individuals' rights with the flock safety cameras. And we will never compromise the constitutional rights and privacy concerns of our citizens here in Henry County just for a piece of investigative technology.
When you talk about the suspension of the access to it, can you inform the public what that means?
So we are under contract till August of 2028. However, effective immediately, it's already been done. No Henry County deputy has any access to look at any data from flock safety cameras here in Henry County or anywhere else in the nation.
And Sheriff, we're standing here at the intersection of Virginia Avenue and Kings Mountain Road in the Collinsville district of Henry County. We're right behind you. There's one of the cameras here. There are how many in Henry County? And of course, like with this one, some of the businesses partnered with you, right?
That is correct. So we're here at the intersection of Virginia Avenue and Kings Mountain Road where you see the flock camera mounted behind us. That camera is located on private property. It was placed there through a property agreement with the owner here. Not all of our flock cameras are located on private property. Some are on VDOT right-of-ways on individual singular poles. We have 10 located here in Henry County. We have 4 mobile units that sit in the sheriff's office that can be deployed at events like the racetrack. But we only have 10 cameras that are what we've referred to as permanently mounted here in Henry County. And they are primarily located in areas where we can monitor inbound traffic into Henry County. So nearly every major thoroughfare into Henry County has a flock safety camera.
And Sheriff, speaking about some of the cases where the flock camera was good, and we'll talk about, as you've already mentioned, touch the surface on some of the negatives of the system. You had one where there was fugitives from other areas where you've were able to save the lives of some children, right?
We do have some success stories for flock safety cameras here in Henry County. We located a murder suspect from another state. It's helped us to locate missing people. But again, we have to balance the benefits versus the constitutional rights and privacy concerns of our citizens. And it's been a very difficult decision. It's not something that comes lightly because I do know its investigative capabilities. However, I also understand the concerns of our constituents. I understand how people feel across the nation about flock safety cameras. And not only that, this is a very unique bipartisan issue in which if we look at the political landscape, both Republicans and Democrats support the removal of flock cameras. So there is no one standing behind flock cameras saying, hey, these are a great tool, other than the law enforcement officers who use them.
And when we talk about the concern being there that some of the law enforcement officers that have access to this may abuse the system and have abused the system, when those individuals say, well, why can't we trust law enforcement to do the right thing? And what would be your response to having that?
My response would be there's over 18,000 law enforcement agencies in this country, and the vast majority of every one of those employees and every one of those agencies are good people with good morals and ethics. However, it is unfortunate that a very, very small percentage, very small handful of law enforcement officers across our nation have not honored their oath, and they've ultimately been caught, particularly in the realm of flock safety. But make no mistake, the lion's share, the absolute majority of law enforcement officers are good people who have good morals, they have good ethics, and they believe in serving their community. It's just one of those cases where a small number of people have tarnished our badge and give us a bad reputation, and we're never going to risk that happening here in Henry County.
Sheriff, what did the maintenance, the install, and the removal cost taxpayers?
Here in Henry County, there's no local tax dollars. Again, this was obtained through a grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services. No money came from the Henry County Board of Supervisors for this. No money came from the Henry County Sheriff's Office budget for this. This is all funded via grant funding. So at the state level, the grant for this was a little over $200,000 for the entire 5-year period. But again, none of that come from Henry County money. It did not come from the Board of Supervisors, the county administration, or the Sheriff's Office budget.
In closing, Sheriff, you say that looking at this situation was about your support for the Constitution. You have a big respect and you love the Constitution, right, for lack of a better term, and that played a big factor in this decision?
It does. As you know, you've been in my office many times, and there are a couple things that hang behind my desk, and one of those is a copy of the Constitution and a copy of the Bill of Rights, as well as a photograph of George Washington in prayer at Valley Forge by his horse. So, you know, I believe in this country. I believe in our founding fathers and the principles that established this country.
And Sheriff, with the soon-to-be removed flock cameras, how can citizens rest assured that crime will continue to be solved, and what tools and what methods will be used?
The dedication of the men and women of the Henry County Sheriff's Office is absolutely second to none. Before we had flock cameras installed here, we done an absolute tremendous job of solving crimes and keeping the community safe. And when the flock cameras are gone now, we will continue to do that using tried and true methods just as we did before. So I assure you this will have no impact on the safety of Henry County.
You said that you did a lot of research before you even signed a contract, but what were some of the, I guess, safeguards for this plan?
When we initially implemented the flock safety system, we ensured that we had the best practices in place and the best procedures in place to ensure or to reduce the likelihood of any misuse of the system, and that includes retention policies. We really tried to work hard to ensure that this system was set up correctly, and there are great safeguards in place, not just here in Henry County, but across the nation. But unfortunately, the only true safeguard to this system or any other system is integrity, Luis.